Today on our 2018 Ford E-Series Cutaway, you're going to be taking a look at, and I'm going to show you how to install the Roadmaster Reflex steering stabilizer with mounting brackets for Class C motorhomes, part number RM-RBK24-RSSC. This is what our steering stabilizer looks like when it's installed. What this is going to do, this is going to help you keep your vehicle going down the road straight. What I mean by that is if you driving your RV down the highway, you hit a crosswind, or maybe you pass a semi-trailer. You know how big those are? When they push that wind, because the RV is top heavy, it wants to lean. And when it leans, the driver has to fight the steering wheel. It causes fatigue. What this is going to do for you, say you turn one way and it compresses. When you let go of the steering wheel, that spring is going to force it to come back out and bring your steering wheel and your wheels back to straight. And vice versa, when it spreads, the tension on the spring is going to pull it back to straight again. The spring is going to be a tempered steel, so it's going to be very durable. It's going to last you a long time. Your brackets are going to be a powder coated steel, so they're going to resist any corrosion. Now, as far as putting it in, it's very simple. You have a bracket here on the frame side that has 3 bolts. They're going to attach to existing holes in the frame. Then you're going to have a tie rod bracket with 2 U-bolts and 4 nuts. And then your steering stabilizer is going to attach to each one of those brackets. First thing we want to do to start our installation is you want to take your RV, find a flat parking lot, and you want to make sure your steering wheel is going straight. So how we're going to do that is we're on a flat parking lot. We're going to start moving, and then we're going to just kind of let go of your steering wheel. And while your vehicle is driving straight, you're going to stop, take a piece of tape, and it can be masking tape, and you're going to go from your steering wheel to your steering column. Put that piece of tape on there across both. Then you want to take a knife and you're going to cut the tape right in the center. And the reason we want to do this is when we get to wherever we're going to be working on the vehicle, we'll take our steering wheel, we'll line the tape up once we have it parked, and that's going to be our center. When we put our steering stabilizer in place, this will either eliminate any adjustments that we have to make because we already know our wheels are straight, or maybe have to do very little adjustment to it. Next thing we need to do is on the front of the vehicle, underneath the front axle, we're going to remove our steering damper. You're going to have 4 bolts here, or 4 nuts here, with 2 U-bolts. Then you're going to have 3 bolts over on the side holding this bracket to the frame. You're going to have 1 underneath, and you're going to have 2 right up inside. So in your kit, you're going to have 3 hex bolts, 3 lock washers, and you're going to have 7 flat washers. Your lock washers and 3 of the flat washers are going to go on each of your 3 hex bolts. You're going to have a bracket in your kit that looks like this. We want this side is going to sit on the bottom of the frame. This is going to sit on the inside of the frame. This is going to face towards the front of the vehicle. We're going to use the existing holes that held up our steering damper. Put these in place, held there. And we're going to leave this loose for now. Next, you're going to have a bracket like this. You want the side with the round hole to face the bracket you just put on your frame. And it's going to go right here on your tie rod. So it's going to go on potentially like this. How that's going to go on is you're going to have 2 U-bolts. So we'll take our U-bolt on the back side of our tie rod, push it through like that. Take a flat washer, followed by a lock nut. And again, we're just going to loosely install that right now. The next thing we want to do is we're going to mount our steering stabilizer. Our spring side is going to go towards the center of the vehicle, or towards the It's going to attach to the bracket that is on our tie rod, and this side is going to go towards the bracket that we here mount to the bracket that's on our frame. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with this side. We're going to take the nut off the end, our washer, and our rubber isolator, put it into place, replace both of those exactly the way you took them off, and you're going to replace your nut. And we're going to leave these loose for now. Come to the center, do the same thing, remove the nut, our washer. I have to push this in just a little, this rod, if you can. Place like that, and then repeat the process like we did on the other side. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten my bracket that's going to my frame. I'm going to hold my steering stabilizer up like this. What I want it to be straight. I don't want it to be turned or up too high where it's going to interfere with any of my hoses or pipes that are down here. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this up, back lined up with my bracket on my frame. Make sure it's straight. I'm going to start tightening these down. Now remember, your U-bolts go top and bottom. So what we're going to do is we're going to tighten these or these, however you want to start. Just make sure you tighten these evenly. Next thing we want to do is we want to torque these four down to the specifications in the instructions. Again, make sure you alternate while you're doing it so you don't over tighten one of them. Next thing we want to do is, if you see how the stabilizer spins, what we're going to do is we're going to tighten down these bolts or nuts on the ends until this stops spinning. And we're going to make sure we do this as evenly as possible. So we'll tighten that. So potentially what we want to do is we want to go back and forth on these until we don't get any movement out of it. The only movement we want is we want this spring to expand and contract. And that'll do it for a look at and installation on the Roadmaster Reflex steering stabilizer with mounting brackets for Class C motorhomes, part number RM-RBK24-RSSC on our 2018 Ford E-Series Cutaway.